All right, everybody, we're hopping back into another tier list video. This time we're doing the top 10 DOKKANFEST TURs as of August 2023. This is prior to the worldwide celebration, which shouldn't bring us any, like, DOKKANFEST TURs, so this should be a good tier list to go ahead and do right now. This will include Super Trunks. Now, I will give a preface and say I have not actually used Super Trunks, so we'll update this again sometime probably after he comes out, and we'll see if my opinion on him changes. But for now, we're going to go ahead and rank him just on my preliminary thoughts on the unit, so I do want to get that out of the way. Now, I do also want to explain the way I like to do tier list here is that typically these like colors on the side indicate where I could see them in tiers. So if you see them, like if you see two units in the same color, just know that I could probably swap them between those two and I wouldn't have any issues. That's kind of what that means. So like 1 and 2 here, I could swap them out just depending on how I'm feeling during the day, and I could see either of them as being the #1 character in the game. And then same thing with 3 and 4 here. And then you'll notice I did something a little funny with this one. I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way at the beginning. I think that there are like 4 TURs right now that are just complete standouts above every other unit in the game, or every other like TUR Dokkanfest in the game right now. That I just think stand above all of the other ones. These are units that are just very consistent. They have very little RNG, or the RNG they have is very predictable, and it's easy to work around and play around. So that's why whenever I did this list, I went boom, 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 and I just like put the first 4 up there. I kind of like rearranged it a little bit. And then I went, okay, now I need 6 more units here. And I went, like I wasn't really too sure. So just to get that out of the way, that is kind of the format for what we're seeing here. We're going to go ahead and start the list by bringing in number 10. Who do you guys think it is? I'll tell you, I was really close to actually making it this guy right here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just do like an honorable mention here. Add row below. There we go. We're gonna make this like purple. Oh no, this one stays green. Oh my goodness, no, I can't do tier list, guys. Don't leave. Don't leave. Everybody's staying. Okay, listen. This is the honorable mention. This is honorable mention tier, right? I feel like it's not an official TUR tier list if this guy's not on it. This guy is 3 years old and is still competing with some of these units, and like honestly, I could put him on this list, and I wouldn't be too upset about it because he's still viable in Red Zone. He's still viable in the hardest fight in the game, the Omega Shinron fight. So like that just has so much value. Really, the only thing keeping him competing with some of these other units is just his leader skill at this point. But let's go ahead and pull up number 10. Listen, I love Ginyu. It's going to be a long time before Ginyu's not on this list. The issue with Ginyu is his team, but I could say that about pretty much any character in this 5 through 10 area right here. Let's go ahead and pull up Ginyu and talk about him some more. All right, here we go. Just a quick, brief overview of Ginyu. I don't think his leader skill's very good. He's clearly just intended to run the Ginyu Force team, so this guy is really only as good as the Ginyu Force team is. Now, I will say, for most fights in the game, you can still get it done with the Ginyu Force team. Jason, Birder, Raccoon, Goldo, and Ginyu alone should be enough to get you through, and as long as the enemy doesn't have super powerful AoEs, then really, Ginyu's team is going to be fine. I don't think there's really any issues with his team at all. The issue that comes in is whenever you have AoE bosses. Those guys can really shred, or like AoE bosses can really shred the couple of free-to-play LRs on the team, the Physical Ginyu Force and the Tech Ginyu Force LRs. AoE bosses can really shred them, and that's where they've kind of fallen off a little bit. And then sometimes you can get stuck picking like a 6th unit for the team. I like to run STR Jace. Surprisingly, STR Jace can actually kind of tank a Omega, or not an Omega. He can tank like a Sin super attack decently well. And I think I've had him tank the core as well, but like he's a decent unit to bring. He can typically not kill you from taking normals, and he'll show you where the super attacks are, so you can usually keep him out of harm's way. But that's the weakness of Ginyu. Ginyu has very good start of turn stats. 180% is great. He gets the additional 10% attack and defense, up to 50% for each Ginyu Force category ally on the team. Again, that's very good. So he'll always have 10% up, because of him. And if you're running his team, then he'll always have 20% up. And then, you can fill in from there and get his full extra 50% attack and defense here. And then he's also just giving all Ginyu Force category allies, including himself, support, which is, again, very nice. And then he's attacks effective against all types, and he stacks defense. I mean, this guy is just absolutely incredible when it comes to TURs. This is a masterclass in design. Like, if this kit was on, like, a Goku or something, this would be, like, the best TUR, like, by far. The issue with Ginyu is that he's Ginyu, and that he has Ginyu links, and he only works well with the Ginyu Force. So he will eternally be bound by the Ginyu Force team. Whenever he transforms, he also becomes insanely powerful. He gives you a heal. I think mid-battle heals, especially on villain teams, are just so good. So I put a lot of stock into this. He gets 200% attack and defense, pretty good. He gets an additional 50% attack when performing a super attack. Again, that's fine. He launches the additional, he keeps that. Oh, by the way, this guy has built-in additionals and super effective against all types and built-in crit. He builds up this multiplicative buff. I mean, he's just, like, he's doing pretty much everything. He has a scouter as well. Like, Ginyu is not the issue. Like, you can take Ginyu on teams, honestly, and as long as you have, like, Raccoon and Goldo, he's fine. The issue is that Terrifying Conquerors really aren't that great, and, like, Ginyu's team has kind of fallen off a little bit in these fights where there's big AoE bosses, so that's the issue with Ginyu right now. If we ever get, like, some more Ginyu Force units that are really good, you know, maybe we could see this guy rise to power again, but I'm afraid that this guy is reaching the end of his life cycle, as I don't expect many major improvements to his team as time goes on. So, that's where I have him, is at 10. Let's go ahead and put number 9 on the board. This will probably make some people upset, but it's Turles. And Turles is kind of a similar issue to Ginyu, but at least Turles does have slightly better links in that Turles has Big Bad Bosses, Thirst for Conquest, and he does lead Space Traveling Warriors, which is a pretty good team. Turles' issue, I'll just go ahead and get him pulled up so that we can look at this. Okay, here we go. Turles' issue is right here. His entrance animation is really powerful, especially if you have two of them up on the same team. Like, if you're running Turles' team and you have his intro buff active, then you're giving all Extreme Class allies 6 ki and 36% attack for the battle, which is just absolutely insane. The issue is that you don't really see this too often, and this guy's defense is not the best ever. I mean, it's okay, but it's not, like... If he was just getting defense for one turn on his super attack effect, I would like him a lot more. Like, take this healing off. I don't care about this healing. You know, I was talking about how healing is important for villain teams, but honestly, I would trade this healing for a one-turn defensive raise on this guy. I mean, overall, he's a great unit. I'm not going to go over his entire kit. You can pause it and read it here. I just want to say, like, the reason that he's 9 is because we can't get this active, and this is a huge, major part of his kit. I mean, he's okay with all of this active, but there's no way he's competing with, like, these 4 up here. Like, 0% chance that he's competing with these guys, and he just kind of falls into this, like, middling section of, like, 5 through 10, where it's, like, all of these units, like, none of them are really doing anything incredibly special, and you could just kind of swap them in and out depending on, you know, just how the fight's going, what team you have going. Like, these are not special units that you should be summoning for down here. They can help you fill out a team, but there's not much going on. Also, I'm sorry, listen, I gave a huge spiel about Ginyu, but listen, I love Ginyu, we gotta talk about him. Next up is Trunks. I had a really tough time trying to figure out where to rank Trunks, especially because I haven't actually used him, which makes it even harder. But from what I've seen, he seems like the exact kind of unit that I would hate. Again, I'm not going to go into his full kit here, but the issue is he needs Android/Cell Sucker category allies, which are just few and far between at the moment. You basically only have him and LR Gohan, who are decent. They did him no favors. Every single unit in his entire celebration sucked, like, horribly. They were all terrible. He himself is pretty bad in base. Like, actually, I don't know if, like, his base form alone would make this list. He's only on this list at all because of his Super Trunks form at all. If he was just Super Trunks, honestly, he would probably be, like, up here maybe. But his base form drags him down so much that I ended up putting him on, like, 8. So I don't want to say too much about Trunks here other than whenever Global gets Trunks eventually, do not summon for him. There's absolutely no point. He leads a terrible team. He himself is just very inconsistent. And you can't even really get much, like, team building freedom with him, because if you want to use him, you have to bring, 2 other Android/Cell Saga category allies. Let me go ahead and pull that up. We will go ahead and pull them up. Okay, we've got him pulled up here. Let's see. The transformation condition is fine. The issue is... Where is it? Right here. Right here. The second bullet point. high chance to guard all attacks, which is just bad, but only when there are another 3 or more Android/Cell Saga category allies on the team. So, like, pretty much any team you're running with this guy is going to end up actually being an Android/Cell Saga team. So you just have, like, no team building freedom with this guy, and I hate when Dokkan tries to dictate your team builds. I find that to be the most annoying thing that they can do to units, is try to dictate your team builds. I don't, like, listen, don't ever tell me that I need, like, if you want to make me run, like, a running partner, I can get that. Like, you know, Kale needs a Caulifla, sure, whatever. I can deal with that. I was probably going to bring a Caulifla anyway. But telling me I need 3 others, right, that is ludicrous, okay? Now, if you're running his team... If you're running his team, right, he will count, or, like, the friend will count as one of them, so then you only need to bring 2 others. But, listen, this effect right here, high chance to guard, if there's another 3, like, this is absurd. Like, you have to run, 4 out of the 7 units on your team have to be Android/Cell Saga. That's not good. That's not good. Okay, let's just, I hate that. Super Trunks is great. I think Super Trunks right here, like, actual Super Trunks, I think this is good. This is good. I like this. This is trash. I don't ever want to see this ever again. That's my take on Super Trunks. So we have him here at 8. I'm just going to go ahead and fill in these next 3. We've got Gamma 2, we've got Kid Goku, and Kale. I do think Kale sits atop, like, this other trash. I thought about making her own tier. But you guys, if you watched my showcases, I've done a few of them out with her and Kale and Caulifla at this point. She's just very inconsistent. It's like, even whenever I have her full buffs up, she doesn't feel as tanky as I think she's ever going to be. Like her defense is just not quite all that, and she needs to be a slot 1 tank. That's kind of the role I expect her to be in, is a slot 1 tank, and she can't do that for the first 4 turns of the fight. And then in order to even transform her on turn 4, you have to have a powerful Caulifla, and we really only have 1. I mean, we did kind of do a gimmick team and get it done with, like, the full Universe 6 team against Frieza, but I will say we got pretty lucky in that run with the attack placement and just, like, supers and everything. I don't know. It's like Kale, I think, can be good, but she just relies on too much RNG for me to consider her consistent enough to be in that top 4 echelon. Those, like, top 4 units in that top tier, those are units that have, like, never failed me. So that's kind of why Kale just didn't quite make that cut. Kid Goku's great. Sadly, he's just starting to get really beat up by these AoE bosses now because he needs to super attack first. But his damage support, or, like, his damage reduction support, is still very powerful. Rainbow Orb changing is going to be good forever. And overall, he's just a very powerful unit with a pretty decent leader skill. Sorry, needed some water. I'm choking, but it's fine. But he has a pretty decent leader skill, and, you know, he links well with Bulma, which is good. So, Gamma 2, listen, I like Gamma 2. Again, you can kind of swap these guys around. I thought about making these 3 their own tier, just because there's, like, I like them more than these other guys. But again, like, Super Trunks on any given turn, like, could be up here, like, if, you know, we get good RNG with him. Like, if he guards every single time in base form, and then in, you know, Super Trunks form, he just comes out and he's shooting at, like, an 18 million attack stat, like, crit. Like, that's crazy. I could see that. Turles with his intro buff up is doing so much for villain teams that I could see him up here. If Ginyu were to get, like, another, like, a DOKKANFEST Raccoon and then, like a new Jace banner unit or something, like, he would shoot back up to here, I think. So that's, like, all of these units could kind of be interchanged just depending on how they buff their teams in the future and the RNG that you get with them. Kid Goku's the only one that's, like, just solid in here. Gamma 2 is great as well. Like, really, these two, they're kind of just, like, these other units right here, they're waiting on something else to come into the game to really help them out. These two are just kind of are what they are. I just have a vendetta against Gamma 2 because he never additional supers for me, like, ever. So, you know, that's why Gamma 2 is down here. Anyway, so we've got a gap now. We're going to go ahead and move into the top echelon. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and fill in this next tier. So we're going to go ahead and grab 4 and 3, not Bardock, listen. So Goku and Gamma 1. I think Gamma 1, honestly, like, he does still have a bit of an argument to be, like, the #1 TUR in the game. Gamma 1 is very powerful, very consistent. He gives defensive support. Let's go ahead and pull him up. All right, so Gamma 1, good leader skill. He, movie heroes and artificial life forms. Really just the movie heroes is good, but, I mean, he is, like, probably the best artificial life form leader in the game, like, by far. High-speed battle. This is accelerated battle and worthy rivals. I'm on the JP version of the website at the moment, so it's slightly different. But he gets attack and defense for 1 turn on his super attack effect. This is great. He gets the guard for 4 turns. He gets, he gets the, right here, he builds up, 10% damage reduction up to 50%, and the extra multiplicative 100% attack and defense is great. He has a medium chance to crit, which is good. And then he gives key support and defense support, and then he has a great chance of evading, well, it's not evading anymore, but he nullifies unarmed super attacks, which has come up quite often. Good link set with Gamma 2. I will say the only reason that drags this guy down from number 1 for me is Gamma 2. Gamma 2 not being, like, quite on par with this guy, I think drags him down. Like, you can run Gamma 1 on his own, but you don't really want to. You want to run him with Gamma 2, and more often than not, Gamma 1's going to be a wall, but you start getting into those oh no scenarios where, like, if Gamma 1 doesn't get super attacked in slot 1, and then you have Gamma 2 in slot 2, and, there's, like, that one attack there, and you're like, you're starting to sweat. You're like, oh no, that's the super, isn't it? And Gamma 1 comes out, or Gamma 2 comes out, like, swinging, and he does his super attack. And then he goes normal, 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 or whatever Gamma 2 does, right? And then he takes the super attack and he dies. That's what brings down Gamma 1. It's not Gamma 1 himself that's bringing himself down. It's Gamma 2 that is ultimately bringing this guy down. So that's why I have him at 4. Number 3 is this Goku. Very powerful. The only reason he's not fighting for these number 1 and 2 spots is because he is a little bit inconsistent with his guard. He kind of has the same issue of Super Trunks, except for, like, this guy has a little bit more survivability and just leads, like, a way better team. This guy's team is fantastic. He does have the revive, which is, like, impossible to get. But so that kind of like loses him some points. If his revive was easier to get, I might like it a little bit better, but I hate his revive condition. It's terrible. Luckily, what saves him is the GT LR duo, who have like a free revive and are, they work decently well together. And this guy works well with Bulma. And after this guy revives, his upside is just so high. He's got like 1,000,000 defense. He can do like 4 super attacks, super effective against all types. He's lowering attack, which is important for some phases. So just overall, a very fantastic unit after he revives. But before he revives, he's a little bit inconsistent. So that's why he's just not quite in these top 2 tiers. All right, so next up, we do have Piccolo Jr. I'm going to go ahead and put him at 1 tentatively, but again, I could swap these around. I may decide to put God Goku. I may convince myself into putting God Goku at 1 by the end of talking about this. I think in terms of, like, if you're a new player watching this right now and you're trying to figure out how to, like, fill out your box and what characters to summon for, I think God Goku is, like, your main target. And I think, like, these characters both have a ton of value over each other, but I do think that, like, God Goku, especially for new players, just has a ton of value. In terms of, like, let's just go down these characters a little bit, okay? Leader skill. I like God Goku's better. God Goku leads Pure Saiyans and Hybrid Saiyans. That's infinitely better than, like, Terrifying Conquerors, Gifted Warriors, and Giant Form. Like, those are 3 teams that pretty much never see buffs, and when they do, it's just an amalgamation of random characters. So, like, this guy wins in the leader skill department. Super attack effect department is pretty close. Piccolo Jr. is getting, attack and defense, or at least just defense and the stun chance on his. And then God Goku is stacking, which is very nice. So it's pretty close in that department. I think ultimately I do like the stacking better, but whenever you start looking at their passives, I do think Piccolo Jr. has the more consistent passive. The only thing that I will give God Goku in terms of passive is that God Goku does have the dodge chance and the guard potentially, which can give him a lot more slot 1 viability than Piccolo Jr. I once had somebody ask me, how can you put a slot 2 unit as the number 1 TUR? And it's like, well, Piccolo Jr. is just doing so much. Piccolo Jr. has the giant form, which can help you break enemy super attacks and AoEs and healing and just like any other boss abilities that they can do. You can help them burn those charges on like a turn during the giant form, which can save you. He has the really powerful active skill. He's the best world tournament unit in the game. Like, you just pop his active skill and then you just win world tournament. So it's like they both just kind of go back and forth. I think ultimately what's going to set God Goku as number 1 for me is like Piccolo Jr. is insane. Piccolo Jr. will come out and just will any villain team that he's on to victory because he is just so good. He can just come out there and do like a triple 18 million attack stat or just something absolutely insane. and just completely carry the damage for your team. He'll have like 2 million defense or something post super attack, so he just tanks everything in the game super well. And even before he super attacks, he's usually at a pretty high defensive level. I think ultimately, though, just what puts God Goku above is his ease of use, his link set, and his leader skill. I personally put a ton of stock into like the usability of a unit. I love Piccolo Jr. He's great on teams. You don't even need to get... He's like one of the only big bad bosses units in the game that doesn't actually need big bad bosses. You can literally just throw him on a team with a bunch of other superclass characters and he's going to be great. But you can say pretty much the same thing about God Goku. God Goku is a character that you can just throw onto any team pretty much, and as long as you can get him 6 orbs one way or another, which we do have a plethora of rainbow orb changers these days. You know, you've got Kid Goku, you've got Bulma, you've got God Goku, the tech one, right? Like, I feel like we have several orb changers, and he's creating some himself, so it's like getting him 6 orbs, I've almost never found it to be an issue. And even if you can't get him 6, if you can at least get him 3, then he has the dodge chance. And if you're smart like me and you build him with full dodge, most of the time he's just going to be dodging attacks. So that's ultimately what it comes down to, though, is his ease of use. Piccolo Jr. is great, but like if you're a brand new player and you had the option to start your account with God Goku or Piccolo Jr., I would tell you 100% of the time to take God Goku. Piccolo Jr. is fantastic. We know how Dokkan treats villain units, and they release like one good villain unit a year, and that was Piccolo Jr. this year. And we can expect him to just sit around and get no buffs, no help, outside of maybe like a few, like, do we consider Turles a Piccolo Jr. buff? No, not really, not truly, because like Turles is just kind of like meh, right? Whereas Piccolo Jr. is just like blowing this guy out of the water, and this guy was released months later. Like, this guy is so far and away better than this Turles that it's not even funny. This guy eclipses LR STR Cooler. Like, you know, this dude is just, in terms of damage, consistency, defense, active skill, he has the attack break on that as well, the giant form. Like, this guy just wills these like villain teams to victory. I actually did a full world tour with this guy. You can go back and watch that on the channel during Golden Week, where I took this guy into everything, like every single red zone stage. We went and we no-itemed it with his team, and you can just watch him go in there and take these other trash units around him and will them to victory because he's so powerful. So it's like, I do have to give him props, and that's why I can just kind of, like, it's really close. But God Goku's slot 1 ability, his leader skill, and his links are what's going to put it ahead for me. This guy's link set is insane. The active skill is very powerful. I don't know how many times I've gotten the KO screen with his active skill, and just ultimately a very powerful unit that fits on many teams. So this is my top 10 TURs. Let me know what you guys think. I know some people are going to have some opinions, especially about, like, Ginyu down here in 10, and the honorable mention. Let's go ahead and get rid of the gap. You know, we can delete one. That way we can get everybody on the screen. I don't really like any of these other units down here, I'll be honest. I hate this unit. This unit, you guys know I hate them. Bardock, I hate. This unit's okay. I don't mind them. I respect this unit. He's old now, but he's respectable. I hate this unit. Yamcha's just a bin of RNG. Some people love Yamcha. They're like, my Yamcha dodges everything. He's a god. And my Yamcha's just out here going, take every hit in the game. You know, it's like, I hate Yamcha. Pan sucks. AGL Cell sucks. Pycon's a gimmick unit. This unit's not good anymore. I hate this unit. Majin Vegeta, like, almost made the list. Like, I could do this if I wanted. Honestly, I probably should do this. Majin Vegeta is very good, but listen, I love my boy Ginyu. Ginyu stays here, okay? Raditz is bad. This unit sucks. This unit sucks. The androids, they still have some use. I like the androids. They're still really good against, like, Broly. And yeah, that gets us through basically all the top TURs in the game at the moment. So, here's the official list. We'll stick with this. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you would change about the list. If anything, but do keep in mind that I could see, like, pretty much 5 through the honorable mentions here. I could see these swapped out into basically any position, and then same thing with the reds. You could swap these 2 around, and then the orange, you could swap them around. So let me know what you guys think about this list. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.